Why do some people seem angry all the time, even when nothing has obviously happened to them? Why do they walk into a conversation or a news story already furious, already certain of who the enemy is? The answer, in some cases, is that they aren't reacting to the world at all. They're reacting to a lens through which the world is already framed. That lens is bias, and when it's deep enough, it doesn't just color emotion, it generates it. This dynamic, which we're calling target fixation, is what happens when bias is not a passive background assumption, but an active emotional engine. It doesn't just shape how people interpret events. It tells them in advance who the villain is, what to hate, and eventually what to feel. In this system, hate doesn't come from anger. It comes straight from bias. Hate is not a response, it's a directive. And once hate has taken hold, it starts working backward to create the emotional narrative that would justify it. That's where anger comes in, but not as a natural response to harm. Here, anger is manufactured. It's not illegitimate in its intensity, but it is ungrounded in real proportional experience. Instead of pointing to something that happened and asking why, the emotional logic runs in reverse. I already hate this, so I must have a reason. What's the justification? Everyday frustrations, inconveniences, or even neutral events get interpreted as further proof of the need for hostility. The anger, now active, gives the hate emotional validation. It feels righteous. It feels earned. And it conceals the fact that the real origin wasn't a personal wound or a legitimate grievance. It was bias all along. Bias selected the target, hate locked it in, and anger was summoned to make the whole thing feel morally urgent. This process happens quietly, often invisibly, until it becomes the dominant emotional orientation of a person or group. Target fixation is especially potent in ideological systems, political, religious, cultural, where bias is inherited and reinforced through repetition and insulation from alternative views. Within these systems, hate doesn't feel chosen. It feels like the obvious response to a dangerous world. But that world has been pre-shaped by bias, so every input confirms the same conclusion. The emotional system becomes sealed, hostile, and increasingly immune to correction. Disrupting target fixation means attacking it at the root, the biases that pre-select enemies before harm is even experienced. That starts with awareness, training people to recognize narrative patterns that consistently frame certain groups as threats, and to question where those frames come from. It also means building emotional discernment, so anger can be evaluated instead of just obeyed. And it means fostering experiences that interrupt the fixed pattern, real human interactions that make it impossible for bias to hold its shape. Target fixation thrives on abstraction. It dissolves in the presence of reality.